Okay. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Good. Okay. I think that sound is up. Again, can someone verify from the audience, please? George, Thanasis, anyone? They can't hear me. Crystal, you can hear me? Oh, okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Yep.
Good.
I can hear you.
Okay. We did it. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you all. And hopefully you can see my screen, so we can start anytime now. Good.
Sorry.
We got VIP support from Vangelis. He's in, so yeah.
Yes. Naso, you have some issues with your audio, so I don't know.
Oh, they say they hear me. Everyone says they hear me now. Everyone says they
okay,
hear
okay, cool. Thank you, sorry.
Thank you so much, Vangelis. Thank you so much for the VIP session. So guys, thank you, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, everyone, for joining. My name is Nasos Kladakis, and I'm here with Krister Ljung, that I will let him present himself in a second. And we are going to discuss a lot of interesting things here. I want to take 1 minute to say hi to everyone. And the language of the session will be Esperanto. So we will use English, but also we will use Greek as needed. And I will start with Greek because I understand that you have we have a lot of Greeks, but I have a Swedish co-speaker, so I will do English to respect that. So let me switch for a couple of minutes in Greek, and then I will switch back in English, and Krister obviously will do that in Swedish later on. Right, Krister? Your presentation will be in Swedish.
Självklart, vi tar det på svenska.
Okay. So, καλημέρα, καλό απόγευμα δηλαδή στην Ελλάδα. Εδώ που βρίσκομαι είναι το Redmond, στην Ουάσιγκτον, στην Αμερική. Είναι αρκετά νωρίς, είναι 6:30 το πρωί. Έχω ξυπνήσει κάνα μισάωρο πριν, γι' αυτό αν με βλέπετε έτσι δεν είναι το δέρμα μου καλό, είναι εξαιτίας αυτού. Είμαι πάρα πολύ χαρούμενος που έχω την ευκαιρία να τα πούμε. Ξέρω πάρα πολλούς από το audience που βλέπω και φαντάζομαι ότι και κάποιους δεν ξέρω, αλλά χαίρομαι πάρα πολύ που θα σας γνωρίσω. Θέλω να πω ότι είμαι μέρος αυτών των event από τη στιγμή που φτιαχτήκανε. Νομίζω το 2007-2008 κάναμε κάτι πρώτα και στη συνέχεια σε όλα τα υπόλοιπα live. Οπότε είναι πάρα πολύ ωραίο και πάρα πολύ ευχάριστο που έχουμε την ευκαιρία παρά τις συνθήκες να κάνουμε ένα event σε αυτή την καταπληκτική πλατφόρμα. Γιώργο, πραγματικά θα σηκωθώ όρθιος αργότερα. Έχω χάσει πάρα πολλά κιλά, προφανώς. Εδώ η ξενιτιά δεν μου φέρεται καλά, δεν με ταΐζουν. Δεν με ταΐζουν εδώ στην ξενιτιά, με αποτέλεσμα να βλέπετε αυτό που βλέπετε. Δεν είμαι αυτός που ήμουνα. Έτσι. Είμαι ο μισός. Οπότε, αφήνω τα συγκινητικά και τα ευχάριστα. Είμαι πάρα πολύ χαρούμενος και πάλι, όπως σας είπα. Και θα γυρίσω τώρα στα αγγλικά, ώστε ο Κρίστερ να ξέρει τι λέω, για να μην κοιτάει πάλι έτσι χωρίς να καταλαβαίνει. Οπότε, ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Θα τα πούμε, θα ξαναγυρίσω, θα ξαναχαιρετήσω ελληνικά στο τέλος. Γυρίζω στα αγγλικά, μια και ο speaker μου είναι στη Σουηδία αυτή τη στιγμή, στη Στοκχόλμη. Okay, so I'm switching back to English. Krister, we're on. So, as I was saying, my name is Nasos Kladakis. I work for the Microsoft Identity Product Group. I'm based in Redmond, and I have Krister with me, who is in the same team. And what we do in the Microsoft Identity Product Group is that we are focusing on external and decentralized identities. So if you think of identities for employees, something you use to log into Office 365, and identities that you do to log in as a partner, as a guest, as a consumer, we do the second. So we don't do the first thing. We are not focusing on employees. We are focusing on external identities. And my team is a global team. And when anyone wants to deal with identity and Microsoft and say, hey, I have a project and I need identity and access management for my consumers, and the project is complex, my team is coming in to help them do the architecture, understand, and later on implement a complex identity solution. Krister, do you want to present yourself?
Yes, thank you, Nasos. My name is Krister Ljung, and I'm a program manager in the same team as Nasos, and I'm based in Sweden, in Stockholm, which means that it's easier for me to cover the EMEA time zone, including Greece, of course. And yeah, as I said, as Nasos said, we work with external identities, mostly B2C, a little bit of B2B, and the upcoming things that I'm going to talk in the second part of this presentation.
So now, thank you, Christer. So as you can imagine, if after that you want to work on a project with a customer or a partner and you need the help of the product group, Christer is the person from my team that most probably will help you. I mean, we are a few more, but most probably Christer will deal with Greece. So let's move and discuss a little bit about the presentation here and what we're going to see. First of all, before I go to the presentation, let me thank the sponsors. I think, as I said, this platform for me is amazing. It's one of the best I have seen even in the professional events, and this is a professional event for sure that we are doing. I mean, I don't know, I want you to tell you that even for Ignite at the beginning and the big Microsoft events, we had no clue what we are going to do. And this platform looks really, I mean, better in my mind from many others that we have used to do events in Microsoft. So all the sponsors made this event possible, so we thank them. We are going to talk about digital identities and verifiable credentials. It might be a concept a little bit complex, but bear with us, and we are not going to make it more complex than it is, right? Christer and I will show some demos, and hopefully we will understand the concept. My goal here is to understand the concept of verifiable credentials and how these verifiable credentials that don't exist, they are not broadly used right now, will be the future of, and will be the future of identity, can be integrated with systems that we use today. So for us, it's how a user we use today going to be integrated with a future version of credentials that we hope that everyone will use. So, as I said, I mean, this is the agenda. I will tell you a few more about more things about the concept. Then I will present the present. So how a modern, extensible customer identity and access management system looks like. Then Christer will take over to explain to us the technology behind decentralized identities and how these make verifiable credentials possible. And finally, we will show a new scenario, I mean, one of the new scenarios that bring verifiable credentials and customer identities together, and how the old technologies and the new technologies can build this system together. So let's see, what this session is about. The main idea is this. Today, we have identity and access management to do employee authentication and to do partner authentication and to do consumer authentication. You use authentication when you log into Office 365 to your laptop, to your iPhone or whatever, but at the same time you use it to log into an e-shop, to order something from Plesio, to do your e-banking, and you do all these things, probably with many different identities. And when it comes to collaboration, and let's say your organization works with another organization to collaborate, there is a need for infrastructure, meaning how Microsoft will trust, let's say, Dell, how Microsoft and Dell can work together. The two IT departments have to work together, build a federation, and then imagine, okay, and I want to log into my healthcare provider. Let's build another federation and another and another. And in order for the modern systems to operate, you need a lot of infrastructure and a lot of federations and a lot of, agreements and integrations between different systems. So the main idea we're going to discuss today is how we can do that, of course, and we will continue to do the traditional federations for years and years to come. But what if we could have the benefits of federation and without the infrastructure? What if somehow everyone will be connected together, everyone, with no need for federation, just an agreement that, hey, Nasos and Christer trust each other, we explain that to each other verbally, and then there's no need for infrastructure. The infrastructure magically exists. There is a global system that connects us all, right? Like democracy for identities. So let's see how that will start. And I'm starting with the present. Again, for those one of you that joined just now, because I see a lot of people coming in and out, we will start with the present. So today, we have systems that help us log in to consumer banking, to healthcare, to other systems, and they are traditional systems. And these new systems are mainly promising three things, right? They promise flexibility and customization of the user interface. I show you a demo of that on what I mean. They promise you security, and they promise you scalability, that no matter where you travel, no matter how big or small the audience is, they will be able to help you log in and order something, let's say like Amazon.com or from Plesio.gr or from healthcare and in-banking. They will do that. They don't promise to the IT department, they don't promise to the developers that all these things will happen easily. So this is what we are going to tell you here. I mean, yeah, this is the promise, and we do it today. And I will show you how Microsoft is doing it, right? Because I work for Microsoft. Others do this pretty much the same. But what if we could do this in an easy way that no infrastructure will be needed? At least no central infrastructure. And Christer will tell you later for that. So hopefully I have set up the base. So let's see how a modern identity and access management system works. I don't want you to remember the names of the products, etc. If you want to remember them, good for Microsoft. But I want you to think the concept, right? Here, we're talking about a concept, not so much about a product. For Microsoft, the customer identity and access management system, it's called Azure AD B2C. But as I said, forget it. But whenever you see Azure AD B2C, you will think of a modern identity and access management platform. So in my example, and I'm using the Plesio example, and we are going to use Plesio a little bit because I don't want to use Amazon, right? I don't know, I mean, but you can think Amazon GR, or I don't know, NBG.gr, the National Bank of Greece website, or any healthcare provider website. So the main idea is this. You as a company, as an organization, you have applications, web apps, mobile apps, APIs, and you want these apps to be exposed to your audiences and say, hey, I am a healthcare organization, I'm a bank, I'm an e-commerce website, and I want to expose my website to the world. Okay. A modern identity and access management system says, hey, if you use open standards, meaning open standards like OpenID Connect and XAML, and I think these two, and I will stop there, are the best, you can purchase a global platform like Azure AD B2C, integrate your apps here, and then everything else will be handled by the system. A person, a consumer from Greece, from all over the world, will come in and say, hey, what are my options? How I can connect to Plesio? How I can connect to Ethniki Trapeza? How I can connect to Amazon.com? How I connect to my healthcare provider to log in? And now B2C will say, based on my rules, I can give you a normal username and password that 99% of the companies do today, or I can allow you to use social, from Facebook to whatever, to Google, and also I can do federations with you. So you can use your corporate credentials. For me, for example, my employer's credentials at Microsoft.com to log into Plesio, if these guys allow that to happen, to log in here. So B2C handles the protection of these apps against the outside world, and also prompts people to log in with many different credentials, anything that the person that owns the application now wants. And in order to do that, the promise is that it will do it in a secure way, and it will be completely customizable. So you cannot tell if it's Microsoft that is protecting this application or not. I have a demo to explain, but I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I don't think something magical. It's the things that we do today. Magic starts from this point, right? And this is, if you want, a little bit more complex architecture of what you saw before. The main idea, again, is this, what we see in the screen. On upper left here, you see the user, the consumer, the person that wants to do business with you. And when you see this, when you see this, you understand that someone comes to his mobile phone, to her laptop, to her desktop, and they try to log in. Good. The application is the banking application, Plesio.gr or whatever. They say, I see someone coming in. And because I trust this system, I will silently redirect this user to the system. The user will not realize that he's not in my application anymore because it will look the same. But practically, a secure system takes over. And when that secure system takes over, then a policy comes in. And this policy tells what to do. And I want you to remember this policy because this is really important. I mean, this policy is the main thing. And now this policy says, what is the dance? What are the steps that someone has to follow in order to execute what the user wants? Show him username and password, ask him for MFA, validate their email, go back and forth. So this is it. And finally, I want you to see that modern platforms like that are extensible. And they can call any external system that people like. And one of these external systems is one that Krister will show you, which is the Verifiable Credentials. And if you really want to know how we protect people when they try to log into the systems, you have to think of something like that, that every time that someone tries to log into Plesio or to National Bank of Greece or any site that is protected with systems like that, there is a system that does conditional access, meaning, hey, who are you, where you are coming from, what is your IP, what is your behavior, what is the risk score, and based on that, we take some decisions. Should I let this person in? Should I block him for MFA? Microsoft has a really sophisticated platform for that. And, you know, there's no perfect system, but we try to keep the bad guys out. I mean, most of the times with success. Not all the times, but, I mean, that's someone else's job to present. And I have seen some sessions here. Now, again, because I'm going to share the slides, this shows you the situation. I mean, we say, oh, I have an identity and access management system, and people will use it to log in to an application. Things are more complicated than that, and I don't have time today to present all of this, but this is pretty much an architecture. So when a customer comes to us and says, Nasos, Krister, I want to do identity and access management for my e-shop. Let's say, I don't know, I'm an airline company, and for my loyalty system, I want to do CIM. All these things will happen, right? It has the end user experience, it has the identity providers, monitoring, reporting, developer experience. So there's not a single product that do it, and all these together are bringing in the final solution. Now, with that, I will move to a demo, a short demo, to show you what I was talking about in case someone didn't really understood the Plesio or the banking example, etc., but also to show you the flexibility of platforms like the ones we're discussing. So let's say this, you have to bear with me, of course, I'm using a fake bank. So this is the Good Groove Bank. They have this amazing product site, and they want to protect their banking website from bad actors and allow good people log in. So now I'm signing in, and I want you to see, you know, you might see this, too many capabilities, personal banking, partner banking, or whatever. I will play with the personal for now. So imagine that at this moment, when someone said, I want to sign up, I want to sign in, we have seamlessly moved to something that looks and feels pretty much similar, but now we have moved to Azure Active Directory B2C, to the identity solution. Before we were at the solution of the user. And here, as you can see, I can allow the use of social media to log in. I haven't seen a bank, at least in Greece, that does that, but let's assume, or traditional ways. And now I want you to see something. You see, I want you to remember that now that I try to log in, I see this policy, and this policy allows me to log in with these 3 credentials plus the email and password. I can change the policy and say, yeah, you know what? Let's allow only username and password. I can update the policy in the system on the fly. I will go back. You will allow me to refresh here. And when I go back again, you will see that the policy of the bank has changed. They don't allow me social. They don't allow me to do, let's say, anything else. Just username and password. So now here, I'm going back and I'm changing that to the policy I had before. So I want you to see the flexibility of the system, the flexibility of how the application can stay the same and you can have something differently. Now, I will go quickly to try to sign up, but the main idea is this. I wanted to show you the flexibility, and I will stop here. I will pause here because I want to give to Christer the time to explain the most complex scenario of verifiable credentials. So I will ask from Christer to be ready to take over. And Christer, for those that joined later, I want you to understand, he will going to explain the concept of verifiable credentials that are probably the future of identity and how this can be integrated with something as simple as the one we see here. Christer, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nasos. And let's see if I can start sharing. Screen 3, like this. And share. Let's go like this. Hopefully you can see me. Nasos, can you verify that?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Good, thank you. Then I'll continue. And we're going to talk about digital verifiable credentials here. And they are important because going forward with the digital transformation that we're in now in the world, trust is important. It's going to be even more important. We need to be able to build services, financial services, government services, e-commerce, and all these services with digital identity. And if you think of it, we have come a long way, but in cases where we're traveling, we're flying to an airport and we have a rental car booked, everything is prepared for us. We just jump in the car, the keys are in the car and everything. But when we drive off, we have to stop at a booth at the minimum to show our plastic card that is the driver's license. They need to check that we're really the person who we are and that some government institute or whatever it's giving out the driver's licenses in a respective country have given me the credentials that I can actually drive. So even though we have automated the business process, there's still quite a few areas where we revert back to the manual part, showing plastic cards, etc., to prove who we really are and that we have the capabilities needed to perform something. So let's switch to next here. What this means is that we need a digital identity that we own and that we control, much like that the driver's license is in our pocket, it is in our wallet. We decide what to do with it, etc. We don't have to go and sort of check it out from the government authorities that has it every time. We carry it around and we decide where to show it to, and in what circumstances. I'm not going to hand off my passport to in certain situations where it doesn't feel right, for instance. And the design principles of the verifiable credentials are like this. A user, a person, we can have multiple. It's not just one. It's like I can have a driver's license issued in Sweden, and I can have a Greek driver's license, etc. So I'm not just limited to one. And I can also have a passport. I can have a loyalty card in different businesses. They need to be resolvable. That really means that I need to be able to exchange them without going to some source where it only can be used. It needs to be circulated and be able to circulate it so that people can trust it. And we also need the permissions to be managed in that way so that we can believe that it's really what is on the verifiable credential is true. We also have multiple identity hubs because it's not going to work if everything is stored with Microsoft, if everything is stored with Google. We have multiple identity hubs where different entities can issue verifiable credentials. That is important also, so we get the complete system here that can give us the verifiable credentials, because otherwise we will revert back to having something in our pocket that we need to pull up and show. We also need to use open standards here, because if we're going to change the application and build applications going forward, It's not going to be easy if we invent our own protocols, our own standards. It works only if every part in this architecture use an open standard. And the key here is the user agent. In this case, you see the phone in the middle, much like the wallet that we carry around where we have credentials like the driver's license. The key is that we're going to carry around our identities, but in a digital way. And all this is not fantasy, it's not science fiction. It is based on W3C standards that the IT community agrees upon, and we have implemented functions for this that I'm going to show you in a minute. And what does this mean? Well, if we look at today, what does an application look like in a shopping experience? We've come a long way. We have mobile apps, we have sites, etc., that are pretty smart. Like if I'm in a store, I can use the mobile app and I can scan the barcode. I can put the item that I want to purchase in store inside my shopping basket, mainly replacing much of the activity that was manual before. I can do a checkout where I have my credit cards associated. It might be PayPal, it might be Apple Pay, whatever. So I can make the purchase so that the shop sees that I've actually bought something and paid for it, and I get a digital receipt in my app to capture it. Here we have pretty much removed all the manual parts that existed before. And this is not science fiction. Again, this exists today in various degrees. But and the technology that we're using here is much like what Nasos is explaining, is that you do have an account, or you don't have an account, you can sign up. And in websites and mobile apps, etc., you can sign in. It can, maybe Azure AD B2C, you can sign in and you can have your own account with this company, Flicio, whoever it is, and you can manage your purchases and keep track of what you have purchased. But this is sort of, it's limited to the actions that the company that provides this service have limited it to. So you can't use this anywhere else. You can just go and buy goods from this company. So what if you have a more complex scenario? What if you want to combine services to say that, yeah, but I'm going to buy something that is a little bit more expensive. Let's say that I need some financing here to get a loan. How can I do that? Of course, you could say that the application, the mobile app, the web app could have some built-in functionality, but that means that we're back to the verifiable credentials scenario. How can they know that behind abc123.gmail.com that is really me? How can they know my credit level? How can they easily issue financing for buying something that is a little bit more expensive? We probably are back to manual process, me showing something, etc., giving credit information to show that I'm worthy of credit. But in a digital verifiable scenario, how would that look like? Well, let's see, change. I'm going to run a modified sample that is available publicly today. You have the link here, aka.ms, GID for devs. I've modified it a bit, but it is the code that you find there. And the verifiable credential in the sample is called a verified credential Ninja. Could be a driver's license, etc., but that's what we called it in the sample. And we have three parties here before I jump in to show you a little bit of code. We have the issuer, we have the verifier, and we have the wallet. The issuer could be the government issuing a driver's license. The wallet, in this case, is Microsoft Authenticator holding the verifiable credentials, is issued by the issuer. The verifier is the application that is consuming the verifiable credential, that implements and uses the library to interpret the verifiable credential. So this shifts a bit. Instead of having an identity provider somewhere in the cloud or on premise, etc., that I need to go to, where I can type in some sort of credentials or authenticate myself at that place. This shifts because what happens between the issuer and the wallet is that they give me something that I, like the driver's license, I can put in my pocket. I put it in my wallet, in the authenticator, and carry it around with me. So whenever I'm challenged to prove something with a verifiable credential, I can send it to the verifier, who can check that it's digitally signed by the issuer, etc., that it's still valid, and that I have the claims that I have that they're challenging me for. This shifts the wallet and me to being a sort of a mobile identity provider, where I keep this in my pocket and I can present it where needed. So let's spin up a little bit of the code here. I'm going to start in API.
Let me add here that, you know, this someone issues a credential, someone uses the credential, and someone presents that to a third party is a concept, a traditional concept, but today needs infrastructure. It needs integration. It needs work between the issuer and verifier, agreements, paper agreements, and also technology infrastructure. What Christoph shows here doesn't require any infrastructure. Or at least previous agreement and infrastructure. It works on something that exists.
Yeah, thank you, Nasos. So what we have here is an application that is in the sample. It uses Azure AD B2C and our Microsoft Authentication Library, but instead of punching in my username and password, I've extended it to use verifiable credentials. So if I decide to sign in here, let's see, I need to prepare my phone. I'm going to show you in a minute what happens on the phone. If I decide to sign in, it's going to present a QR code. So the verifier part here challenged me to say, please take your wallet and scan this QR code. That is an indication of let me prove to me that you are who you are. And what happens here is you'll see this popping up on my phone in the Microsoft Authenticator. If I had multiple cards, I could pick which one to use here, but I only have one. It asks me, do you really want to send this Verifiable Credentials Ninja card to the verifier? I can allow that to happen. It's my choice to send this to the verifier. And when I press allow, in the backend, it communicated and it checked my credential to see that it was valid, that it was sort of in range here, because if I'm checking out a rented car and I show, if I'm not showing the driver's license, the man in the booth will say, hey, you can't show me your credit card. You need to show me the driver's license to show me that you are permitted to drive. So it needs to be a credential of the right type. But as you can see, something happened here and I'm signed in. It knows my name. That came from the card. So what I'm going to, at this point, the verifier have accepted the credential. And from here on, it's sort of business as usual. I have gotten a token in the application, in the verifying application. That looks a bit funny. It has some new stuff. That's because this is a VC and not an ID token from some identity provider. But still, if I've migrated the application to start using verifiable credentials, it can still act as it done before. You see things are happening here in the backend. I can call my APIs using the credentials that came from the wallet, and it will see that, yeah, the token that I get is actually, it's not a normal token. It is a verified credential ninja. So we have modified the application to make use of this. I'll move that away and continue with the presentation. So what does this mean? Well, it means that in the future we can build complex scenarios, applications for complex scenarios. This was an easy thing, just signing in and showing my credentials. But what if we need to start combining the things here? What type of applications can we do in the future? It might be that I'm doing this shopping again and I want to have a loyalty card from Plaisio. And I get it. I'm now a member of their club. But then to buy this expensive TV or whatever it is, I need to get some financing. But in order to get some financing, I need to talk to my employer to make them show that I do have a salary above a certain limit. Then I can talk to the finance company to say, look, I want to buy a TV. Okay, show me proof of your salary. and this is for Plaisio, and I'll send them 2 verifiable credential cards. One that I'm a member of this club, and the second is that my employer verified that I have a salary above $70,000 a year. I get back yet another verifiable credential saying that we have verified that you are eligible for this financing. So here's the proof of that, and then I can show that to the store and say, look, here's the proof that I can get this financing, which is, if you follow the chain here, is a series of events where my employer is validating that I really do have the salary. It is the finance institute that looks at 2 verifiable credentials to yet issue a 3rd one, and that one is the one that I'm sending to the employer. So that would look like something like, there's an animation not showing here, but let's skip that. In that case, I would buy this, scan this code in the shop, get it in my shopping basket. I would switch over to the authenticator, which is my portable wallet. That does this that I explained. It starts to interact to call out to say, I want a loyalty card. Here you have it. Go to my employer to say, can I get proof that I have salary above this limit? I get that card from my employer. Now I have 2 VCs. I go to the finance institute to say, look, here's what you need. Can I get the finance? And they say, sure, but you need to allow me to use these verifiable credentials. I do that, and yet I get a 3rd verifiable credential in my wallet that I can, with this, I now can go back to Plaisio and say, this is proof. Can I please purchase this TV, this big TV with this financing? And yes, you can. And I get the receipt. So all of a sudden, we have created a digital experience here that includes multiple parties and didn't include paperwork or pulling up something in the real life from my wallet to prove all these things. All things happen digitally, and I were in control of it because it happened. I interacted with my company, with the finance institute, and with the shop, and I have the credentials in my wallet. So let's see. That was sort of the demo, and at this point we have 5 minutes left. So let's see if we have any questions.
So one thing I want to mention again is that every time that, if you can go to the previous slide, Krister, every time that you can go, that Krister says, hey, you go to the financial institution, let's say, or first we say, you go to Plesio and you say, give me a loyalty card. You go to your employer and say, give me a proof that I get more than 20,000 euros. Every time we say, go to the financial institution and say, approve my financing by go, obviously we mean you just go to their website or their mobile app. So it's not, you can do it on the spot. You can get into Plesio, see the TV you want, and on the spot, click 3 or 4 different buttons and get financing, which will take you days or weeks and paperwork today. The only difficulty will be that, some of you guys that are older, because I see some names here, I mean, these old guys will have to remove their glasses, I don't know, look a little bit on their phone. I can think of Mr. Hadzipavlis, for example, looking a little bit confused because she cannot read when it's closed. But other than that, it's practically, the diagram we see here. You go to a place and you say, can you please give me a card, a digital card to put in my wallet? And this interaction, I want the card, here is a card, I get a card, I demonstrate a card, is based on a trust that all these people, hopefully the whole world really trusts the underlying technology of the ledger. Which is a blockchain, or, in our case, Bitcoin. So everything is coming from that all this writing and reading, not the real data, just the digital signatures, are being verified against a blockchain, against a public ledger.
Yep.
If we don't have that, nothing of this works. That's the thing that replaces federation. That's the thing that makes this thing possible, that everyone will trust that back and forth checking from the ledger, from the distributed ledger. And with that, please ask any questions. Yes, Christer, go on.
Yeah, and it's important also to mention that how you issue these verifiable credentials, it's really up to the issuer. If it's a driver's license, if it's the passport, it's safe to assume that the issuing process is going to be a bit more complex because it involves security. Because once you have a digital representation of your driver's license or your passport, that is quite strong. So in some cases, the issuing of the verifiable credential will perhaps even include that you have to show up at the police office or something like that. In other cases, it might be as simple as signing up for an account on an online service. It all depends on what you're issuing and what their sort of policies are for issuing a verifiable credential. But once it's in here, it is the same thing. You can use it where you see fit to allow to show it.
So again, Christer, if you can go to the final slide, I had a question from George, and again, I'm not sure if that's exactly what he's asking, but I will try. All this is weird technology that it's completely new and we have to change applications and everything. Everything is on open standard. So one of the parts is that, hey, we want ease of use. The underlying technology is based on blockchains and Bitcoin sometimes and ledgers. But remember that at the end of the day, it's translated to normal identity language. So at the end of the day, the Plesio application or any application, the banking application, will take an all-time classic token. But this token will have some verification in it and some code that will say this is verified not in a centralized system, not in Microsoft or Google's or Facebook database. It was verified by the user, the issuer, and the verifier from their agreement that is depicted on blockchain. So that's it. Do we have any other questions? And I see a lot of people saying it was nice to seeing us. It was really nice to see you. I know that in 45 minutes it's really difficult to explain these complex topics. Christer, thank you. The hardest part of this presentation, I have to say, guys, is replacing Plesio in all the slides. It wasn't easy. It was really hard for us to take Plesio or to decide to use Plesio without their approval. So we have to apologize. But I think we made them look really cool. Imagine going into Plesio and buying stuff with 3 buttons easier than ever before. So I shared with you two links that is the way that you can do it. You can create your own credentials. You can read about the concept and play with that. Christer, anything from your side?
No, it's just that what I showed you is publicly available. The aka.ms DID for devs will take you to this place. So you have it publicly and you can start playing with it. It's in Node.js currently, if you think that this is cool, and learn more about it.
And finally, when it comes to Microsoft and what we really do, our team is working day and night, really. It's really intense. And we plan to make all this that you saw public, hopefully before the end of June. So let's say after March, after April, May, somewhere, you should follow us and see that, hey, we will make some public announcements that all these things now are available to everyone to play with. And, it's a bet. It's a bet. This thing, you have to, sometimes we think that it's easy to understand because we live and breathe identity. But if this thing works, the world will change. Right? It's a big deal. It might not work right away, and we can discuss all the challenges in another opportunity, but it is big. So thank you so much. Thank you for giving us this 45 minutes. We will see you soon, hopefully in a few minutes, in the final session where I will participate and give a couple of gifts. So hope to see you there. It was great talking to this event again. Krister?
No, thank you all, and sorry, I promise to brush up on my Greek next time, so we don't have to do this in English.
It's easy. I mean, you can use Swedish. Everyone here speaks Swedish. I mean, it's easy. Yeah?
I doubt it. Yep. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys.